Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi. We're in the week of the month of Adar. And this Thursday and Friday we will be Rosh Chodesh Adar, when we will read the Parsha of Terumah. Terumah and the next Sedra, three of them in a row, talk about the Mishkan and the Big Day Kahuna and all the Kalim they built in the Mishkan. Now, why do we need and then we're going to talk at the end of this year a little bit about Purim. 3 or 4 questions on Purim. Next week, we will dedicate this year completely to Megillas Esther. Megillas Esther. But at the end of this year, we'll ask you 3 bomba kashas on Purim. But let's talk about this week's Seder Terumah. Terumah is you build a golden Mishkan as a kapara for the golden egel. But there's a problem. The golden egel didn't happen yet. How could you have a kapara? Because in 2 weeks from now, you're going to have kisisa. Then that's about making the egel. So how could you have a kapara before there's the chet of egel? So you know the answer. Ein muktam u'meuchar b'Torah. There's no earlier or later in the Torah, which means it's not in chronological order. That's what Chazal say. If you think about it, it seems not true. Because everything in the Torah is in organized fashion. Bereshis, the Avos, Moshe going out of the sun. Everything is chronological. What they mean to say, certain things are not in order. 3 or 4 or 5 things. To teach you a certain musar. So what is the musar? Why do you need to build the golden Mishkan, to machaper for the golden egel if it didn't happen yet? Because it comes right after Mishpatim, the laws being Adam lechaveru. How to live between you and your chaver as a tzaddik. Here, Terumah, you're building a Mishkan to Hashem. The whole building and the whole structure, every keli is lishma. That's contact between you and the Borei Olam. The connection of Ben Olam lechaveru, the Ben Olam lamokom. The Mishkan is for Hashem, right? And Ben Olam lechaveru comes first. And then come Ben Olam lamokom. Rashi says right in the beginning, when Avram saw the 3 angels, Hashem came to him that minute when the 3 angels showed up, and that was the 3rd day of his bris when he was 99. And then the 3rd day you have the most pain because they're starting to heal. That's why some people go to Bikur Cholim on the 3rd day, and on the 3rd day of Avelos seems to be the biggest pain on the 3rd day. Anyhow, so when they came, Rashi says right there, he said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, could you wait a minute? After they take care of these 3 orachim. So Rashi says, Mikan, from here you learn that Hachnosas orachim, welcoming in strangers in your home, is Gadol, greater than Kabbalas Penei Hashchina, than talking to the Creator. So you see right here the credo of Yahadus, of Judaism. Ben Adam Lechaveru is first, Ben Adam Hamokum is second. And the Gemara says, if people like you, it's for sure Hashem likes you. That's how it goes. If you're honest and decent and people love you, you are definitely a tzaddik ben Adam la'makom. But if you're a tzaddik ben Adam la'makom, maybe you're not a tzaddik ben Adam l'chaveru. Maybe you daven and you learn and you do all the things and you go through the whole thing, but you're dishonest and you lie, you cheat, so you're Russian. The proof of being a tzaddik is ben Adam l'chaveru, gezel, arayos, yoshar. That means Hashem loves you. From here you learn from Avram, Mikan, Achdos Zorchem, between you and another human being, not even Jewish, another human being, who's made B'Tselem Elokim. That means you love Hashem. That is Ben Olam Chaveru first. That's how Yahadus is built. Yom Kippur is only to Mechaper Averos Ben Olam Chaveru. That's why you have to ask for Mechila before Yom Kippur from your friend. Ben Olam Lamokom, any day of the year is fine. Anyhow, so now we have Mishpatim, now Terumah. The golden Mishkan is the kapara for the egel. The Mishkan was started to build the day after Moshe came down from Sinai. He came down, he got the Torah that was given on the 7th day of Sivan. Then Moshe showed up, came down 40 days later and smashed the luchos. They're dancing against the egel. He went up 40 days again, came down Rosh Chodesh Elul. He says, God forgave you, and now I'm going to go up and get the second luchos. He went up again, came down 40 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is the 10th day of Tishrei, Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur. Then he said, okay, as a kapara, you have to build a golden mishkan. But the Egel happened in Shivos B'Tammuz. Oh, El, 3 months later. That's right, came down twice, 44 to 80, almost 3 months later. He came down and he started building the Mishkan. So you see, it's chronological, not in order, but we told you why it's in this way. Now the Mishkan, there's 7 Kalim there. Hashem wanted to destroy the Klal Yisrael because of the Egel. Moshe prayed for 40 days, the longest prayer ever. 40 days. Hashem forgave them. And if Hashem would have destroyed Yisrael, there would be no reason to have a universe, a world. Because the first word of the Torah, Bereshis, He made it, the whole world, only for us. Look at the letters in the word Bereshis. Bereshona, Ra, Elokim, Shikablu, Yisrael, Torah. That's why He made the world. Tyre, you know for sure there's no life on any other planet, only Earth. They can search every place they want. They will never, ever find life on any other planet, only here, because the Torah was given here. And that's why God created the whole universe. All the galaxies and the millions and millions of suns and other galaxies. Because this one of the 9 or 8 or 7 planets, Chazal say there are not 7, Shiva, Koch, Veleches. Until about 4 years ago, there were 9 planets, now there are 8. Pluto is out because it's all gas, no rock. So it's down to 8. It'll get down to 7, like Chazal say. Shiva, Koch, Veleches. So, anyhow, Hashem made the whole thing just for Yisrael. He wanted to destroy Yisrael, means get rid of the whole world. So Hashem had to rebuild the universe. Let's see from these Kalim how Hashem rebuilds the universe. Here. The Aron, the first thing. The Aron is a box. What's in the Aron? Torah. Duchos, Moshe Sefer Torah. And Torah's Domila Ar, right? What did he make the first day? Yom Hashem Yihor. Second day, he made the Rakia out of space. Space. So, that's represented by the Kaporis and the Keruvim. The cover on top of the Aron, on top of that empty space in the box is a gold cover, and 2 angels' wings, 2 angels' faces with wings. That's space, because God spoke to Moshe in that space of the Keruvim, the 10 tefachim, about 36 inches. He spoke to Moshe in that space. The second day was Rakia. The third day he made Semach, growth. So the next keli is shulchan. You put on there bread. It comes from semach, from wheat. The next day was the 4th day, was the sun and the moon. Menorah, light. The next day he made chayas, wild chayas, dog, fish, and birds. So urias, the skins of the menorah, comes from these wild animals. They were wild animals. The chashim were wild animals, and rams. Oros Elam Udomen. That was the 5th day. He made semach. Oros, hides of these animals. Then came the next day, the 6th day, behemoths. Good. Hamas Be'ach and the Choshes. That's where you check behemoths. The 7th day was Shabbos, Yom Menucha. That's why the Mizbech HaZohav was made, where you only put on a drop of Ketoras. Menucha. Smell beautiful Ketoras, the day of the Neshama of the Ketoras is something really fine. So Shabbos, the day of Menucha, the Mizbech HaKetoras represents a Menucha and rest and serenity. That's the rebuilding of the universe. How could this Seder be boring? Now, since it said in the beginning of the Seder, bring Zohab, Kesef, and Choshev, gold, silver, and copper, these are domain, inanimate objects. Then he says Sheish, linen, that's already Samach, things that grow. Then he said, the chelis v'agomen v'tala shoni, wool from sheep. That's min chayos, from animals, something. And then he said, ism, goats, that's the chay itself. They spin the hair of the goats, which is called cashmere. Here, this is cashmere. If you have cashmere with linen, it's not shatnez. It's only semer rechelim, wool of the sheep. But wool of, which is more expensive and more warm from goats, mohair they call it, or cashmere or angora, that's goat hair. That and linen is not shatnez. There's three types of semer. Semer rechelim, sheep, goat. Semer gefen, vine, wool, which is called cotton. And then there's semer from goats, but it's really not wool at all. It's cashmere. Anyhow, izim is the animal. So they spun the 30, 40 feet, 50 feet goat hair while the animals were still living. And then they cut it off when they got to the animals. So you had like this, domain, inanimate, gold, silver, and copper. Zohav represents the tzaddik. Kesef is Baal Tshuva, you polish it a little bit, it shines. And the chosh is Rasha, you have to burnish it with steel wool, really, before you get all the averas out of him. It has to go through a lot of Gehenna. And then you have Sheish, which is vegetative power. It's white. It's a person who wants to be clean from his averas. Then you have Tchelis Agomen and Talah Shoni, light blue and purple and red wool. That comes from the chayas, something living, from chayas. Then you have the izim itself, the goats, that's chayas. Ever wonder why it says the chelis v'agomen and shani, blue, purple, and red? It doesn't tell you what it is. What? What's the material? Blue what? Agomen, purple what? Tala shani what? So my father Zatzal in my base in Sheva says in life, the main thing is not what it is, but what it represents. The fact that it comes from wool, that's a side thing. Light blue represents Shemayim, the Neshama. Hagoman is purple, that's the intellect. And Telashani is your animalism. The Cheles is godliness, like light blue sky. The Kisakobot, ideas that are infinite ideas. Agoman is purple. You know, even in colleges today, on graduation, they wear these purple robes. That's ancient, thousands of years old. That represents intellect. A person can have great intellect, but he could be an atheist. First is Tchelis. Tchelis in Hebrew is blue, sky blue. But it just so happens, Tchol is spelled with a ches, and Tchelis with a chaf. So it's two different words. How do you work that one out? Tchol is blue. The cheles is sky blue because that's where the sun starts. Techilo in the morning. Techilo in the morning. That's the sky blue of the morning. But stam blue is called tchol with a ches, not a chok like tcheles. Anyhow, tcheles is sky blue, neshama stuff, and agoman is intellect, and talah shani means raise yourself from an animal red and ennoble yourself. Then go to the intellect, and then go to the neshama. Then chayas, animals, izim, goats, clothes, protection. For man needs protection. I tell you, such symbolism is unbelievable. Let's talk about this 7 kalim. You have the first is the aron. You make that first. You don't build that first. You discuss it in here at first. When it comes in the next sedra, 2 sedras from now, the first thing to build was a mishkan. Then they put the brochus covers on top. Then they put the everything. Then the 5th, 6th thing. Then they brought the aron in. But in Hashivas, aron is most important. The whole Beis HaMikdash is nothing but for the aron. The Shekhinah should be in the back room, western part of the room. The Shekhinah b'ma'arava. The Shekhinah is in the west. Always. They enter the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know about the Mishkan, but the end of the Mikdash with their back toward the Yarden River, which means the sun was coming up over Jordan, right in the front door of the Beis HaMikdash, the east. And then you walked through the Beis HaMikdash, in the last room, Shekhinah was in the Marav, the last room, in the Kodesh Kodashim. Shekhinah b'Marova. We go to the Kosel Maravi. I saw somewhere written, this is the western wall of the Beis HaMikdash. Not true. Beis HaMikdash is up on the hill. This is the western wall of the wall around Yerushalayim, around the Harabayas. It's the Kosel Marabi. We're facing east because the sun is in front of us. You ever been there in the morning? The sun's right over you. We're facing east. We're in the western wall facing east. We're at the back of the western wall of the Harabayas, not the Beis HaMikdash. That doesn't exist anymore. Will be soon. And that other thing, that aberration up there will just disappear. Just disappear. And so that place in Rome will also just disappear. Because as Beis HaMikdash were coming down Milamala, because we're living in times where everything is instant, right? So it'll come down Milamala, whatever that means. And that other thing will disappear, vanish. And all people's ideas, Keneged Hashem and Torah, will also vanish. The Chol B'nei Basar, you say in Oleinu, the second chapter, the Chol B'nei Basar, Yikru B'Shmechem. One concept, to worship Hashem, the truth. So the first thing you discuss, not the first thing you make, the first thing you discuss of making is the Aron. And it has a kapparas on top of a cover, and kruvim coming out of it from one piece. And it has a little crown around it, Zer, Zohov, that represents Keser Torah, the crown of Torah scholarship. Then we have, that's first of Katie. Then the Shulchan. The Shulchan, so that Aron represents Keser Torah scholarship. The Shulchan represents Keser Malchus. A king has to feed his people. On the Shulchan is the Lechem Apanim every week. From week to week, it stays there for 7 days. And it keeps warm. That Shulchan on the right side, as you come in, the right side, you see the Shulchan. Go to the end of the room every morning. The Kohen does like this. Goes past the doesn't go in. Doesn't go into the Kodesh Kodashim. He's in the Kodesh. He makes a left turn. He comes out. When he comes out, on his right is the menorah. So Shulchan is first. First you need food. First you need Imen Kemech and Torah. First you have to have parnasa, food. Then Torah. Then you get enlightenment. Menorah represents enlightenment. The enlightenment inside the Kodesh Kodashim. That Torah should be ksav. That you don't touch. That's engraved in stone. But when you come out, you arrange in menorahs every single morning, right? And then evening they light it. The Torah Shabbat Peh, you can dingzich with it. You can discuss it. Kal v'chomer, zer shava, maybe like this, maybe like that. The Kohen plays with the wicks and puts in the oil. Torah Shabbat Peh is an oral Torah. We learned that. No one tampers with the basics of the Seres HaDibros. That's untouchable in stone. No one can touch that. That's immutable. No one sees it. Not even a Kohen can see that, except Kohen Gadol once a year. It's not for you to tamper with. It's in stone. That Torah should be ksav. When you come out, then Torah Shabbat Peh, there's menorah. We want to understand it. We have to understand it. We got to work at it. So he goes in the room counterclockwise. He goes around the Mizbeach also counterclockwise every day. You ever notice that everything that's beyond our grip, something that's spiritual, is always counterclockwise? You know the collar goes around the chazan counterclockwise? You know that if we go to any chasana, every dance, anywhere, always, they're always dancing counterclockwise. You know that? Yeah, for a minute you go the other way, but 99% of the time, always counterclockwise. If you're an Ashkenazi, you put on the fill-in counterclockwise. When you write Hebrew, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled, or whatever the end of the sentence, then you have to go to the next sentence. So you go this way. And you go this way, next line. Counterclockwise. English is not, just the opposite. You go this way, come to the end, you start over here again. Torah is always counterclockwise. All the 9 or 7 or 8 planets go around the sun counterclockwise. Revolves counterclockwise. The earth spins clockwise. That's something else. But around the revolution around the sun is counterclockwise. How will come these tremendous things that are beyond our grip is always counterclockwise? When Shabbos in Musaf, Shemon Esrei, right after Kel Kadosh, you start with Tikanto Shabbos. The next 22 words are Aleph Beis backwards. Tikanto Shabbos, Karosim, and ends with Aleph. Backwards. Why is it backwards? Why is Torah Shabbos backwards? And physical things that for this world are always clockwise. For instance, when you describe the borders of Eretz Yisrael, you have the Yarden, and the bottom is the Yam HaMelech, the Nachal Zered, we start there. Nachuzeret, and you go through the bottom here, across the Sinai here, up the Mediterranean, across the top, down the Yarden, clockwise. And when you shake your lulav, if you're an Ashkenazi, you shake forward, right, left, back, up and down, clockwise. Everything that has to do with physical, gashmias, even Torah things is clockwise. Anything to do with beyond your mind, irrational things are counterclockwise. And Shabbos, you say, Tikkun Shabbos, backwards olive base. There's a lot of things that you don't understand. It's beyond our ken. The more you learn, the less you understand. Yeah, you understand basic stuff, but you don't. The more you, just say, the more you learn, the more ignorant you become. You don't really understand the depth of everything. Maybe on pshat level, remish, brush, sod, paradise. You know, that's why the tzitzis, when the time we had tcheles, was a machlokas. How many strings were blue? 1, 2, 4, or 6? Isn't it interesting? When it comes to philosophy, hashkafa, irrational things, it's tcheles, like the sky, outer space. When it comes to halacha, the Torah has to be written black on white. Talesam, black on white. Halacha is black on white. Shabbos is on the 7th day, not Friday or Sunday. The lulav has to have the aravas, the hadassim on the right, and there are 3 of them, and the aravas on the left, 2 of them, and they got to be higher. We know halacha is very, we know how many times you turned it around here, 7 times. Halacha is black and white. We know how many days the Yom Tovim are, Chutzlars, and out in Chutzlars, and we know all about these dinim that Chachamim made, Shatnez, and Muksa, thousands of dinim. We know no one puts the tefillin on their hand, even though the Torah says so. No one puts it here, even though the Torah says so. Chachamim tell us how to do that. We have halachas. When it comes to hashkafa, that's already irrational. Blue. The tzitzis represents hashkafa, irrational things. Torah, black and white, halacha. Alright, how do we get on that? I don't know. But anyhow, a lot of things are, some things we don't understand. We'll leave it at that. You want to hear more? Listen to my daily shir. I got 2,095 shiurim on Kol Haloshen. What's the number? Yeah. Every 6 months they change the number, so you better have just one number for the whole United States. 1-718-395-2440. When the guy starts talking, I'm one of 100 of my Gidim, how are you going to find me? You punch 11101. 11101. And then recently, the last few months, we put in Haftorahs. All the Haftorahs. So if you want any Haftorah, anytime you push, instead of 11101, you put 11104. You get all the Haftorahs. 11104, all the Haftorahs. And now we're going to give them soon, besides the 54 Haftorahs, about 22 Haftorahs for Moadim. The ones for Chanukah, the ones for Rosh Chodesh, the one for Pesach, the one for Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, Tanit Tzibor. We're going to give I think there's 22 more Haftorahs for Moadim, it's called. So the Aron represents the light. That's what the Torah is. The Shulchan represents the Keser Kahuna. That's a Keser Malchus. The king has to support the people. Menorah represents the light of Torah in Torah Shebal Peh. Then the Proches is also a keli, because the Proches hang in front of the Kodesh Kedoshim. They use that to rock the Aron. It's also a keli. So we have Aron, Shulchan, Menorah, Proches, 4. Then you have Mizbeach and Nechoshes, the copper Mizbeach. That's where you bring all the karbanos. No karbanos are brought on the gold Mizbeach, except Yom Kippur, a few drops of blood. Never do you put any karbanos on Mizbeach and Hazohav inside, only outside the building. So Mizbeach and Nechoshes is outside Mizbeach, the copper Mizbeach. It's wood covered with copper. So is the Shulchan, wood covered with gold. So is the Aron, wood covered with gold. Then you have the Mizbeach HaZohav, the golden Mizbeach inside, which is wood covered with gold. Then you have, next week's Sedrum, Kiyar and Kano, the stand and the water fountain. So you have Aron, Shulchan, Menorah, Paroches, Mizbeach HaNechoshes, Mizbeach HaZohav, Kiyar Bechano. 7 kalim. But there's 8 other things. For instance, like Urios, the curtains, And the crushim, the beams, 50 of them, 48 and 2 corner beams, and the keresh must be 10 amos tall, which is about 20 feet, bigger than the telephone pole, maybe the same size, and not round. It's a amma by an amma by an amma by an amma. It's 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet by 1.5 foot. That's a big pole. And keresh, by the way, the first of the root keresh, if you turn the red letters around, it's sheker, which means it must be, Mishkan must be planted, made with the top of the keresh the way the tree grew. The bottom of the keresh must be the bottom of the tree. You must, from the source, have a Torah education. If you put it upside down, it's sheker, keresh, sheker. You must be upright. Live upright, otherwise you're like it's sheker, keresh, sheker. Then you have Adonim, the sockets, each one was a silver kikar. And kikar is like 250 pounds. How you know? Because there's kikar 3,000 shekalim. If every shekel was 1 ounce, kikar kodesh 1 ounce. Well, divide 12 ounces and troy pounds or 12 ounces into 3,000, you get 250 pounds. And there's 50, they had 100 karoshim, Adonim, sockets. Then you have perokas that hangs in front of the kodesh kadoshim. Then you have Mosaf, the other curtains that hang outside the building, in front of the front door to the chutzner. Then you have the chutzner itself, which is 50 by 100. The building was only 10 by 30, but the chutzner was 50 by 100. Then you have the kloyim, the curtains around the yard, around the 50 by 100. It was a linen with holes in it so the wind shouldn't knock it down. Then you have Bigdei Aaron, next week said 8 begodim of Aaron, and the Kohen Hedi were 4 begodim. Then you had Ketoras, 2 weeks from now. Ketoras are incense, different spices, 11, and then if you find 5 more, there's certain things that can embellish it, but basically you need 11. Now I'm going to tell you a fabulous thing. Anyone who has a mathematical mind will appreciate this. The rest of you, I hope you can catch what I'm saying. This whole thing, this parsha is called Terumah. Terumah means elevation. But you know, Terumah reminds you of what you have to give the Kohen. Mandatory 2%. So if the whole Mishkan, if this whole thing is voluntary, why did you bring the word Terumah in here with hints to mandatory 2%? Why don't you call it Matana? Okay, Terumah, elevating. Matana is also, why don't you call it Matana, etc. I want to tell you a mind blower. Terumah in Aramaic is Trei Me'ah, 2 from 100, which is 1/50th. There's no mitzvah in this Torah to build a Mishkan. Nowhere. Only to build a Mikdash. That's why it says Mikdash. So since they're traveling in the Midbar, so they made a portable one, but there's no mitzvah to build a Mishkan. Only makes a Mikdash. So since they're traveling, it has to be smaller than the base of Mikdash. How smaller? How much? What percent smaller? Trei Me'ah, 2%. Trei Me'ah, 2%. 2 out of 100, 1/50th. Let's see if the base Hamikdash was 50 times bigger than this. The yard, the chutzner, was 50 times 100. That's 5,000 square amos. The base of Hamikdash hill, where the building was, is 500 by 500 amos, which is 250,000. Bingo. 5,000 goes into 250,000, exactly 50 times. That's why this is Terumah. Trei Me'ah, 2 from 100. This is 1/50th of the base of Hamikdash. Trei Me'ah, 2 out of 100. 1/50th. 50 times 5,000 is 250,000. And the chutzner of the base of Hamikdash on top of Rabbi was 500 amos by 500 amos, which is 250,000. And this was the whole chutzner outside the building was 50 by 100. 5,000. Well, 5,000 go into 250,000 50 times. Trei Me'ah, exactly. 2%. Wow. Woo! That's unbelievable. Now you know why you call it Terumah. Let's learn the first pasuk, and then we'll go and ask you some questions on Megillus Esther. Yadav Hashem Moshe David b'nei Yisrael yichali Terumah. Take from me a Terumah. That's a gift. The yichali, take from me. No, we should say yitnu li, give to me. Yitnu. Why vayikchu? When I give you something, I don't take it. When I want to give you something, I don't take it. I give it. Why don't you say vayit? Don't understand vayitnu li? So here we learn a tremendous thing. Whatever you give, you will get back. You give to the Beis Hamikdash, to the Mishkan, you're going to benefit tremendous. Vayitnu, if you give, you get it back. Vayitnu is a palindrome. Vayitnu, back and forth, reads the same way. Vayitnu is a palindrome. We have many words in Hebrew like that. Sus, a horse. Here, I'll give you a lot of them. Hazeh, backwards and forwards. Lul, protrusion. Eile, aleph, lamed, aleph. Tzitz, head thing, as a palindrome. Zuz, don't move from here. Zuz, to move. Shemesh, back and forth the same. Imo, abo, leil, night. Mum, a defect. Mayim, hoyo, David, Dud, a spigot. Dod, an uncle. Gog, Gog, the nation Gog. Shayish, linen. Many. Nosan, to give, back and forth. English, we have it too. We have mom, dad, pop, moon, noon, wow, gag. Okay. Anyhow, a man told me there's a pasuk there's a pasuk in Devarim. It says, if you look it up, Chav Ches Lamed Aleph in Bamidbar, in the Tochacha, it says your animal will be shafted in front of you and taken away. Your chamor will be taken away. Your sheep will be destroyed. If you read that pasuk, Chav Ches Lamed Aleph, backwards, it's exactly the same as forwards. Not the letters. The words backwards means it comes out instead of a klala, and it comes out of bracha. So the man who told me this says his name, his personal name, is also a palindrome. It's a certain person who lives, I don't dare tell you if he lives in America or in Eretz Yisrael. He's from Yid, he's the lawyer. He said this thing about the Varim Chav Ches Lamed Aleph, that if you read it backwards, it's a bracha, if you read it forwards, it's a klala. His name happened to be Bernie Weinreb. Bernie Weinreb, read backwards and forwards, it's the same word. He told me he has one, and out of 10 million people has a name like that. If you read that word backwards and forwards, it's the exact same word. He was the one that told me this. Interesting, isn't it? So by Yitnu, to give, you get back. The Yikhuli Truma, give to me, take from yourself and give it to me. And how much is a Truma to a Kohen? Well, it's no shear in the Torah. Rabbanan gave it shear. A 40th, a 50th, or a 60th. A 50th is average, 2%. A 40th is 2.5%. And the cheap person, a little cheap, is a 60th, 1.7%. So, in here you find that a person can give 40th, 50th, or 60th. An average person gives a 50th, 2%. A gracious person gives 2.5%. That's a 40th. Average person, a 50th. A little cheap, 60th. Look here. Vikhuli, Lamed Yud. That's 40%. That's a 40th. That's the maximum. Kol Ish, from every person, that's 50th. May Ace Kol Rosh Hashanah, that's a 60th. So you can give Truma, 40th, 50th, or 60th, and you're Yosef. We're going to call Ish Yashir Devena Liva, that his heart prompts him. Tikva Truma, so you take my Truma from them. Vezos HaTruma, this is the Truma Shetikhu Micham, that you take from them. Zov, Kesef, the gold, silver, and copper. These are inanimate objects. Didn't I tell you before? Zov represents a tzaddik, Tomim. Sometimes you find very big tzaddikim in the world. You know, gold nuggets are found whole. You have to smelt the rock to get gold, but sometimes you have nuggets. Tzaddikim have special. Some people are unique tzaddikim. They don't have to be smelted or beaten or punished. They're tzaddikim holding the neshamas. Silver, you have to smash it and melt the gold out of it. This is Baalei Tshuva. People want to do Tshuva from their Averas. We're not talking about the Baal Tshuva that you happen to hear about today. They're not Baal Tshuvas. How can you return if you've never been there? They're called Mechapesh Hashem, searching for God. Baal Tshuva is us. We're born from FFBs. Or FFH, by habit, from habit. So we do on a baby, we do come do Tshuva. So So a Baal Tshuva, any person, even Moshe Rabbeinu, Avraham Avinu, everyone did that. Do Tshuva, that's silver. It tarnishes, you have to rub it a little. You get it back to its shine. Copper, you don't rub a little. You have to burnish it with steel wool or a file. It takes a lot of burnishing. That's Rishonim. Maybe they would go through Gehenna. That's the burnishing. It would clean them out. So you have three types of people. Zov, Kesef, L'chodesh. Tzadikim, Baal Tshuva, and Rishonim. And then you have, I told you before, all these different things. They mean different things. Okay, we're not going to go through that again. Zov, Kesef, L'chodesh. Uncheles, and light blue. And my father told you why you don't have to say wool, because that it comes from wool is irrelevant. What it represents is more important. The cheles is light blue. That's neshama. Agomen is intellect. And the Lashani red, animalism elevated to a higher level. Now, father once said, when you eat a steak, you like the smell and the look, but you know what? You get the exact same protein by an injection. You're in a hospital and you're sick. You can't eat shit, can't chew nothing, give you intravenously all the minerals, all the vitamins, everything you need. So why does Hashem make it in this form of a steak? Or because He wants you to enjoy life and make a bracha before and after. You want to eat an apple and orange, or you have the same vitamins, take a pill. The tzura, he calls it, the item is the chayfetz, that's the steak, and that's the cake, and that's the whatever, the egg. But the tzura, what it represents, is protein. The wool, the fact that his wool is irrelevant. The cheles represents light blue. And the agom purple is intellect. And the Talashoni is red color, represents animalism elevated. The Chayfetz is not important, it's the Tzuro. The Chomer, he called it. The Chomer. The thing itself is irrelevant. Don't have to mention that it's wool. But the Tzuro, what it represents, that's very important. Okay, Rabbi, so let's talk a few questions on Purim and Megillus Esther. And next week we'll start the Megillus Esther. Why is there no God, not God's name is not in Megillus Esther? Ever wonder? Why out of all the books of the Torah, 24 books in Tanakh, Hashem's name is not in Megillus Esther? Nowhere. Not expressed, not mefurish, but hinted to. You know what the hint is. All over the Megillah. HaMelech. When it says HaMelech Achashverosh, that means him. HaMelech alone is Hashem. So you say to me, oh, there's another Sefer but it doesn't have Hashem's name in it. Yeah, you know which one that is? I don't hear you. Okay. Shir Hashirim. Every time you see the word Shlomo, that means Hashem. Melech Shasholem Shalom. So let me ask you a question. Why were these two books not written with Hashem's name Mefurish? I'll tell you why. The fools of the world will think Shir Hashirim is a love song between man and woman, because it's a mushal between a man and woman. It has nothing to do with man and women. It has to do with the neshama searching for God. The greatest desire for thinking people like a man for a woman. Now they would turn into a love book so God's name doesn't want to be in them. Shlomo understood that. The wisest of all men. Esther, everybody hated Haman, not just the Jews. He wanted to kill Achashverosh and take over. He was a megalomaniac. No one liked him. So now Mordechai and Esther, who wrote the Megillah, sent it to 127 countries, not only to Yidden, everybody. He controlled the whole Middle East, Achashverosh. They would think their God, whatever God they believed in, did this thing and got rid of Haman. So they would not give appreciation to Yud Kei Vav Kei. So Mordechai and Esther left it out. That's one little thing on on Esther. The end of Vais Rishon, the Tanakh was sealed 23 books. And she came, as you know, Purim was before Vais Sheni. She came to the Chacham and said, put me into the Tanakh. They said, no, too late. 23 books sealed, there's no more to be him, except Mordechai and Esther. There was nobody, no, it's done. She says, I have a siman min hashomayim that you gotta put me in. He said, what is the siman? Mordechai and me wrote the Megillus Esther, happened to come out to 167 lines. Ladies and gentlemen, well, Haman was an Agogi from Amalek, from Esav. And it says 2 times in the Chumash. Vayava Amalek and Zechar She'aseh L'cha Amalek. And both of those 2 times equals exactly 167 words. And this is 167 Pesukim. You're in, they said. The Gemara said, you're in. Because of that, it was a Simon HaShemayim. Now, the longest word in the longest word in the Tanakh is in Megillas Esther. At the end, Ches 8, pasuk number 9. Ho achashtar penim. Ho achashtar penim. Ho achashtar has 10 letters. So you say, it's the longest word? Yeah. In Nach, but not in the whole Tanakh. Because in Chumash, you have also 10 letters. When the frogs came to Mitzrayim, it says they went into their pots. U b'misha rosecho, in your pots. Also 10 letters. But there's something special about the word in the Chumash, U b'misha rosecho. One of the only words in all of Tanakh that has 7 syllables. U b'misha rosecho. 7. All, I don't know of another name, I don't know of another word that has 7 syllables. Ho achshtar penim is only 6 syllables. Ho achshtar penim, 5 syllables. And since we're talking about the longest words, 10 letters, and the longest syllables, do you know the largest gematria word in all of Tanakh? There's one word in Chumash, the gematria is 1500. Dosan Avir, who hated Moshe, said, you want to be a boss over us? You want to rule us? Parashat Korach. Tis Torer, you want to rule over us? Tis Torer, Tov Shin, Tov Resh Resh, is 1500. That's the largest gematria word in all of Tanakh. Tis Torer. The largest gematria, and the largest syllables, the more maximum syllables, and the longest word. So now you know a little bit about the Sedra, about Megillas Esther, and we are done. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. We'll learn Megillas Esther, and we hope you enjoy. This was Rosh Chodesh this week. Thursday and Friday was Rosh Chodesh. Like Zon.